Hello everyone and welcome to another Logic Pro tutorial here at Roaring Records. Today I wanted to take you on an adventure to talk about loops and maybe how to get some more out of your loops than what you would normally think of when you're just using Logic Pro. So what I've got is kind of a trap drummer already set up, and I've made a little intro here and a first phrase, and what I'm going to do first is kind of look for a loop here in my library that would best demonstrate some stuff to go along with this. And I actually want to use some organ sounds with this. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my cycle region right here. And all I had to do was to turn on my cycle region was to click in this light gray area on the measure timeline, and that turns it gold. You could also use this button right here to turn it on and off, and then you can stretch it to represent whatever you would like. I'm just going to stick with 4 measures for right now. And the reason I'm doing that is so that I can play this phrase and then scan through some of these organ licks to listen to them. So it's really good to be able to listen to your song and sample the loop at the same time instead of just sampling the loop going back to your song, sampling the loop going back to your song. So this is how that works. I'm just going to hit play, and then I'm going to come over here and select different loops. Not bad, but not really what I'm looking for. Oh, that's a little bit more like what I'm looking for. So I'm going to take this ballpark jam organ and I'm going to drag it underneath the last track that was available. And that puts that in there. And if you'll notice, this was a green music note icon that I was able to drag over and place in the project. And what that means is that this is MIDI data. So you'll notice here in my edit window, which I can access with the scissors, that this is MIDI data and is notated by these little blocks available to me. Now, an important thing to note with the MIDI blocks here is that this information just tells the computer what sound to play. It is not audio wave data. It just tells the computer what note to press, when to press it, and how long to leave it pressed, and at what velocity to press it at. Thus, we can actually go into our instrument library now while we're on the ballpark jam organ and check out different sounds. So maybe we don't want this. Maybe we don't want that ballpark jam organ. Maybe we want a vintage clavinova, just 70s funk clavinova. Or maybe some roots rock guitar. Nope. Maybe some studio horns, like a 7-piece section from Sugar Hill. There we go. Here we go. Ah, that has some sizzle to it. I really like that. So what I'm going to do then, I did notice that it was a bit loud, so I'm going to take this slider and move that down. So I was able to manipulate that and get a sound that I really, really liked, but wasn't necessarily the organ sound that I started with. So don't be so tied to the green things here that the sound is exactly what you have to use, because you can always change it using your instrument library. Now, let's see if we can find a bass line to go with this. Yeah, I dig that. So we're going to take that and slide that over. And don't worry, Logic says this is supposed to go at tempo 135 in the key of F. It's okay. It does all the adjusting for you as you bring it over into the song. Our song is in the key of C at 70, so it did the work. Now, one way you could duplicate this is to stretch it out by grabbing the upper right-hand corner and stretching it out. Same thing for this one up here. And now we have kind of a cool bass organ groove. Nifty. Now, I want to add a little melody to this. Let's try some slide guitar. Now, you'll notice that this was a blue icon here that I pulled this over from. And now you're actually looking at sound waves. If we look in really deep, you can see that this file is actual sound wave samples. So you cannot change the overall tone or notes that this one plays, but you can get in and modify and process the sound still on your own, which is cool, but not as diverse for changing as, say, this one, because you can actually get in and change the chords here if you really want to. So the last thing we're going to do, like I said, is add some melody, and I think I remember this Cool Down series being pretty cool with this. Okay, so a lot of these are really cool. Now, one thing I will note is that this says cool down slide guitar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's not meant that you just put like let's say number 4 in and just loop it out. It's not necessarily the way this one's designed to work. You can actually get in here and go like number 4. Now I'm going to put a number 2. Now I'm going to put another 4. Now I may end with a number 1. So you can actually create longer phrases out of these that become more interesting events. There we go. Now we've got a whole little phrase here of things that are really useful and usable and are more creative and maybe manipulated the use of the loop in a different way than you had already thought to try it. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe.